On April 1st, 2021, I ditched a career I absolutely hated to better myself and do the things I've always wanted to do. And that included my growing love and obsession with Ireland. I want to learn everything: culture, history, mythology, music, and the language. Which, if I'm being honest, looks really hard to learn, but I'm going to give it the old Smith try. Then, of course, there is my love of pubs and the role that they've played throughout history, and no better example of that than on that beautiful, beleaguered island in the North Atlantic, Ireland. April 1st, 2026, I depart for the Emerald Isle, and for 1 year, I'll hike town by town and conduct interviews with pub owners, pub regulars, historians, town know-it-alls, musicians, and basically anybody that wants to talk to me. If you'd like to support the project and the journey, basic Patreon support is only $3 a month, but just liking a video or subscribing to the channel and following the journey is just as helpful. I'm always looking for volunteers to work as liaisons for the project too, so if you live in Ireland and know people, feel free to hit me up. This is a huge goal, and I need all the help I can get. The Smitty Learns Irish Pubcast begins April 26th and will be my life's work. Thank you. And a gigantic welcome to the Smith Hole. What the hell, everything? What's going on? Happy What the Hell Everything Day. My name is Smitty, and it's Friday, January 12th, 2024. Current date and recording time. I'm realizing I got tunes playing in the background. Don't know if you can hear my motherfucking Dead Kennedys going. Let's switch this input here so we can do some proper reactions when the time comes. If you never listened to that version of Dead Kennedys that fought the law, you should. Maybe we could just finish it out, man. It's not for copyright. Every day I kick off the show with something that's going to get me fucking fired up, ready to fucking roll, and Dead Kennedys do the trick quite a bit. Happy fucking Friday to you, man. Rambling about everything and nothing. That is the theme for the What the Hell Everything podcast. We're mixing up songs with reactions. We're mixing up all kinds of talky things, finding all kinds of fun things to talk about, talk shit about. And that is the What the Hell Everything podcast. I'll have a new song from a band maybe, who knows, called Peace Sign. I will have the Bidet follow-up and a fantastic idea from a podcast comment. A couple news stories to talk shit about. I don't want to tease those. I didn't figure out how to tease those properly. Band called Dead Air. We're going to look at Billy Connolly, the Scottish comedian, some of his bits because I'm a fan of his and I like to check his shit out. An artist called Stephen Wilson, Imelda May, an Irish artist, all kinds of fun fucking things, man. And I'm bringing back the Smith's Favorite Things segment, so that should be fun. All kinds of fun things. Ooh, and I found this fantastic news story. Or it's not a news story necessarily, a blog post, I would say, for Irish language phrases to use when you're pissed off. I'm paraphrasing, but hey, let's kick off this fucking podcast. If you are on the live stream, thank you for coming on. And I do have a set number of, not a set number of reactions I'm going to do, but I have mine already picked out. If you have a suggestion, you want something for me to listen to, then throw that in the comment section, man. And I'll fucking do that shit. I'll do that. It is the impending Death Storm 2024. Every year, at least 2 or 3 times in northern Michigan, there is the next big death storm that everybody's going to die. It's so funny, too, in the United States, and just what is considered a death storm, in the South, you get down around Georgia and things like that where you don't typically get snow. You get an inch or maybe 2 even. An inch, half inch. Don't go anywhere! Stay inside! Fucking half inch, it's what are you talking about? Nobody plows the roads at fucking half an inch here in northern Michigan. You know, we're supposed to get anywhere from like 9 to 12 inches, a foot of fucking snow over the next, like, starting at like 2 o'clock, or probably the time I got to go to fucking work tonight for my 30-minute commute on fairly treacherous roads, I might add. So that's going to be fucking awesome. But this is the first death storm we've had. We're mid-January already. First thing, honestly, we had a brown December for the most part, and it's been a brown January for the most part too, up until the last week or so. But death storm, I'm like, fuck. It's just, I am a great driver, to be honest. I know everybody probably thinks they're a great driver. I know that's not true, because I know there's people that will readily and openly admit that they drive like fucking shit. I'm like, why? Why don't you fucking pay attention? Why? If you admit, like, that's the worst kind of stupid to me. When you admit you're terrible at something and you don't do anything to, like, fucking fix it. Stop it. You know? Read signs. Learn to read a map. That doesn't necessarily have anything to do with driving, but it kind of does. You know? Anyway, I forgot the point of that. Hey, let's check out the word of the day, because I like to kick off the fucking podcast with the word of the day. Where is the word of the day? Let's see what it is. Do I know what it is first? Enigma. I think about that word quite a bit when I think of like Cliff Burton from Metallica. I think of like Jimi Hendrix or something. Anybody that's like what's the best word I'm looking for? Anybody, any sort of like historical figure in pop culture is probably the best way to put it. This is my definition. I want to see if it jives with this. You know, when I think of like Jimi Hendrix or Cliff Burton, people that I've watched my whole life, right? And you just fucking are in awe of their talent and like what they brought to the universe. But you'll never get a chance to like meet them. You only see them in like pictures and interviews and like things like that. So you never get a chance to like get inside that brain. I'm sure that's not the correct meaning and examples. Let's take a look at the actual pronunciation.
Enigma.
Enigma. A person of puzzling or contradictory character. Oh, this is nothing like what I thought it was. Every once in a while, you got to admit you're wrong and move on. And from now on, I will think of a different word for Cliff Burton and Jimi Hendrix because it is not enigma. But I mean, puzzling character, not necessarily. Well, no. It's kind of fucking true. That is kind of true that they are enigmas. Maybe I had it right. You know, puzzling or contradictory characters. Let's talk about what these words mean. Because when I think of like Cliff Burton, he was totally a contradictory character to what that thrash metal scene was in the 80s. You know, it was all fucking leather and fucking playing super fast and all that shit. And what Cliff Burton brought to the table was way fucking different, man. It was trippy. Motherfucker wore bell bottoms, you know what I mean? And was just doing this thing with the bass, with the electric bass, distorted, whatever the fuck he was doing, that nobody else was doing. So that is a puzzling or contradictory character. Same with Jimi Hendrix. Nobody was doing what the fuck he was doing back then. If you've ever watched, I'm pretty sure it's the Monterey Fest that Jimi Hendrix did, and Jimi Hendrix actually went. He started in the United States. He's from Seattle, but he went to England, and that's where he got fucking big. Where he started like hanging with the Beatles, and people like the Beatles were seeing him play live and shit. And then he started to get popular in the United States and came back to the States. And I think it was the Monterey Pop Festival, perhaps, that was his first performance. And if you watch the crowd in that performance, their fucking faces are just like you don't even know how to respond. You know, it's like it's like watching Marty McFly in fucking 1955 rocking Johnny B. Good. You're not ready for that yet, but your kids are going to fucking love it, man, because you're an enigma. Fucking nailed it. Where does this goddamn word come from? Man, feeling pretty smart today, not going to lie. Enigma was first recorded in English around 1530 to 1540 and comes from the Greek word enigma, Ainigma, okay, which is a riddle which derives from anos and fable. Didn't have my glasses on. That was fucking weird looking. Enigma was also given the name of a ciphering machine used by the German military during World War II. A precursor to computer encryption, the Enigma machine encoded messages into a seemingly random string of letters to be decoded by another Enigma machine. But that has nothing to do with the fucking definition, so why am I reading it? Examples of Enigma. His mysterious smile and cryptic words rendered him an enigma that no one could decipher. Fucking A. Honestly, I get pretty excited when I realize I kind of know something and I'm using the right words that I initially thought, oh, maybe I was stupid. Nope. Oh, boy. Happy Friday. I'm feeling fucking good, man. Really fucking good, actually. Just the vibe of these last few podcasts for me have been pretty fucking cool and liberating, because it just kind of was like, I knew what I wanted to do and I just didn't have the place and I didn't have the thing, and now that I do, I was fucking talking to a coworker about this the other day, where I just, every day, I've only been here living just under 2 weeks, but I was here for damn near a month for an hour or two a day, maybe like every other day sometimes, getting things ready and getting things moved and shit, and getting the studio kind of put together. Anyway, the point of the fucking story is, I haven't been here that long, but every time I walk in, I'm just fucking looking and I smile. And I go look out my big fucking apartment windows, the front windows that overlook the street, and they're gigantically tall windows at night, and I just look down at the street. I'm like, this is fucking rad, even though nothing's happening. And I'm doing that at 11 o'clock at night, because it is fucking Mansalona, and nobody's out there. There's nothing going on. It's really kind of just quaint and fucking beautiful and peaceful. I mean, the commerce starts around 6:30 and helps me wake up to do this podcast. But it's fucking awesome. I love it. I have just like this newfound, really just, I am fucking really stoked to be here doing the podcast with you. Anyway, thank you. Let's do a bidet follow-up. This is really funny. I didn't save this comment. I wish I would have. Oh, I did save the comment from Brian Moore, and this was on the last What the Hell Everything podcast, where I was talking about my buddy Ryan, who bought me a bidet. It showed up in the mail at the post office, actually, because I have a post office box, so it just felt weird. I had to go pick up a package from the post office that was related to my butt, you know? It was just this odd thing. But I was like, I haven't put it in yet. I'm going to put it in this weekend when I have time. But Brian said, and by the way, Brian, if you're watching this, are you the Brian Moore that I am Army friends with, and actually great friends with, who I did a podcast with him when he was running for office in, it's not West Virginia, right? Is it West Virginia or Virginia? Sorry, I should know these things. Anyway, is that you, Brian? Or another Brian who I would love to get to know, maybe. But he said, do an instructional video without reading the directions. And I'm like, dude, that is not what I want to do. I already talked on the podcast, first of all, about that when they were working on the water, when I was just moving things in and working in here, I had taken a number 2 in the toilet and flushed it and created chaos for workers working on water below me that I had no idea about. I had no idea that water was being worked on, and I just flushed on everybody. And then the next day I did it again, because I forgot that they were working. I didn't get a text saying they were done. I was just like, oh, fucking totally forgot about it. So now I have anxiety about fucking with that toilet in this apartment, because you got to hook the bidet up. So I messaged Ryan. I'm like, dude, how? I didn't look at the instructions yet, because I was actually considering Brian's thing. But I told Brian, I said, dude, I'm not the guy for that. It's like, I have to read the directions or things are going to get fucked up, and I don't want to fuck up my security deposit. If, like, water goes everywhere down, so that would fucking totally freak me out. And probably make me liable. But he said it was really easy. Actually, fucking direct quote on how to hook up the bidet. Let me scroll through the continuous thread with Ryan and fucking Tim. Direct quote from Ryan on how to hook up the bidet. Let me go through this fucking mountain. Oh my God, it's taking fucking forever. If you're on the live stream, you're like, oh, this is great content, fuckface. Okay, here we go. I'm like, hey, what's the directions for putting in this bidet? Just look for your water shut off before you start. Shut it off, connect the tubes, put the seat back on, turn water back on, and blast your anus. Great instructions, you know? So I'm actually considering now, because just for comedy's sake, because Ryan said it was super easy, actually doing an instructional video without the directions just for comedy's sake. But there's still that thing in the back of my head where it's like, man, I'm fairly handy if you give me the time to figure things out. You know, I'm good at figuring things. I'm not quick at picking things up, but I can figure it out and get good at it if I know this, you know. But I don't like fucking with plumbing, because that's how you get fucked. So we shall she. Haha. You know what that reminds me of? There's a fucking store. I think it still exists in northern Michigan up near the Mackinac Bridge. And it's called Seashell City. And as kids, we would always fucking drive, and it just sells seashells, you know? Because we're Great Lakes region and all that shit. Anyway. As kids, we would always drive by it and yell, seashell shitty. And then I think we were actually trying to talk. I remember we were actually trying to meet Ryan, actually, and I were trying to talk our bosses into getting Seashell City on as sponsors of our radio show, and then we were going to do a fucking commercial for them, and just that was going to be the commercial. Driving down with your family going, Seashell Shitty, and just having it bleeped. How the fuck did nobody sign on for that? That was brilliant, by the way. Seashell Shitty. Great fucking marketing. Seashell Shitty. And McTang, Ryan, is actually on the live stream. It's a great, man, Ryan just being on the live stream makes me happy. Because he can catch things like this. No, it was, we used the Rage Against the Machine Bulls on Parade chorus, parading around the family with a pocket full of shells. Okay, that's what it was. I couldn't remember it correctly. It was how many years ago? 14? Yeah, something like that. 14 years ago? Man, my memory doesn't go back that far. Anyway, news story. Got a news story for you out of Minnesota. It's sometimes when I see crimes and I just think to myself, man, did you really think you're going to get away with that? Like anytime I see a story about somebody being caught embezzling, and I'm just like, you get caught 100% of the time. You never hear about somebody just, my company fucking had $50,000 stolen and we don't know who did it. No, they always find it. Pretty much. Headline. Poison expert indicted on murder charges in his wife's fatal poisoning. You don't fucking say. How did they connect those dots? Well, let's find out. A former Mayo Clinic medical resident and poison specialist has been indicted on first and second degree murder charges in the fatal poisoning of his wife. A Minnesota grand jury charged Dr. Connor Fitzgerald Bowman. Why do they use three names all the time for people that commit crimes? With first degree murder premeditated with intent and second degree murder with intent on January 4th. Per a statement from the Olmsted County Attorney's Office, he was arrested on the second-degree murder charge in October over the death of his wife, Patty Bowman, a 32-year-old pharmacist who also worked at the Mayo Clinic. Investigators said Betty was hospitalized on August 16th with 16th words with symptoms initially thought to be of food poisoning. A criminal complaint notes she told a friend that morning she believed a smoothie she had the night prior with Connor caused her to become ill. However, her dehydration and stomach distress rapidly deteriorated into cardiac issues and fluid in her lungs, according to a criminal complaint against Connor. Her organs then began to fail, and she died in the hospital 4 days after being admitted. An online obituary published said she died following a sudden onset autoimmune and infectious illness. He allegedly repeated this sentiment. Oh, and authorities allege Connor added that point. Okay? He allegedly repeated this sentiment to doctors and others while she was still alive, saying his wife died after a fight with hemophagocytic lymphohistiocytosis. I'm saying all those wrong. Or HLH. I could have just went with that. The rare inflammatory syndrome makes certain blood cells build and attack each other and can result in multi-organ failure. However, Betty's test for the illness came back inconclusive. Medical examiner's office notified police on August 21st after determining the circumstances surrounding her death were suspicious. He fucking got caught. All signs point north. How, like, I just, like, you're kind of smart, right? Like, you're smart in the sense where you can learn about poisons because you probably wanted to kill somebody. You think he's killed people with poison before? You know, or just his wife? You know, is that why he became a poison specialist? You know? Because in the back of my head now, anytime if somebody says, hey, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a poison expert. I will never take a drink from that person, ever. Let's check out something from fucking Billy Connolly. I actually have 2 videos here because I always just like to watch this one. Billy Connolly's fuck off video. Anytime I see his face or name, because it just makes me laugh. Billy Connolly, haven't seen him in much, I have to admit. I don't know much of his material, and I want to start doing videos with Billy Connolly and other, like, comedians and things from over there that I don't know. Over there in Europe and Ireland and Scotland and things like that. Or really anybody, I don't care. I'm pretty current on, comedians in the States for the most part. More or less. Anyway. This fuck off video is like 55 seconds long, or 51 seconds, and one of my favorite things.
Fuck off is such a lovely pair of words, and it's international. I don't care where you are. If somebody's fucking with your bags at Lhasa Airport in Tibet, and he's got a shaven head and saffron clothes on, and you say, hey, fuck off, he knows exactly what you mean. He will fuck off. Off he will fuck. Fuck off doesn't mean go away. Fuck off means fuck off. And everybody feels what it means. Nobody can write it down. There is no English equivalent for fuck off. Because it is English, fuck off. You know? And English expressions don't have English equivalents. They fucking are. You know?
Man, I love anybody that can give a great explanation on a swear word or something, like a George Carlin or something like that. And I've never watched this video that I'm about to watch. This was posted 7 years ago. He looks significantly older. I think I actually know, I've heard that he's kind of on the downside health-wise, and that's a bummer, man. But I know him from, he was in the fucking show Head of the Class. I don't know why I remember that. But then Boondock Saints, and that's really all I know him from other than that fuck video. And he's funny. I've actually probably seen him in another clip. But anyway, he did a video called Cunt, and that's funny to me. So let's go.
And I walked in the first day, and there was a guy in the doorway, a sort of down and out homeless guy. He had a cup, and he said, any change? And I had loads. I said, I'd be loads here. Thanks, buddy, no problem. I went in, had a coffee, and got the Homeless magazine, which has 2 great crosswords in it. So I went back to my hotel to do the crosswords. My life is a ball of fire. Second day, exactly the same. Thanks, buddy. Coffee, magazine, back home. Third day, thanks, buddy. No problem. Coffee, magazine, back home. On the fourth day, I didn't wait for him to ask. I just put money in his cup. And he says, you don't have to give me money every time you see me. I said, I'm quite aware of that. You little cunt.
Just the ability to hit people with that fucking word, man, is a great talent if you can do it effectively. You know what I mean? It's so off-putting to so many people, and I'm just that person. I don't give a fuck. You know, it's sometimes it works. How else do you describe somebody using cunty behavior? I don't know. But the ability to just get that word in and just shock everybody and then make it funny is fan-fucking-tastic.
Fuck 'em. It's not a word I use usually, especially over on that side of the Atlantic. And it frightens the bejesus out of them. Although they take motherfucker like nothing happened. But being from a Glaswegian, I'm used to it, you know. That doesn't really mean anything. You know, you use it in all sorts of circumstances. You try to remember a film star's name. People are giving you all sorts of names. You say, no, I know him, some other cunt. That's it. I actually heard in Glasgow, who's that cunt with the Pope? And they don't seem to realise you don't need to be a complete cunt. You can break it up into What do you think of the Prime Minister? He seems a bit of a cunt to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he does. But just close your eyes and think of Donald Trump. There's a cunt.
Yeah. How else do you describe somebody using cunty behavior? You know? I'm pretty sure I've used that word to describe that guy on more than several occasions. Oh, man. What a treasure that guy is. There's just something so approachable about him. I don't know if that's true, but there's just something so real and approachable about him. And so many people that I've talked to from over there too, you know, Ireland, Scotland, things like that, are just a little more approachable. And then, you know, maybe that's not the word. Might come to me at some point. Anyway, that was really fun. So anyway, let's do this news story. Dude out of Chicago. This happens a lot. I think there's a local Facebook page like this too, where, you know, you have usually women that create this Facebook post dedicated to dudes that they've all dated. You know, hey, this guy's throwing his dick all around town, and he hooked up with me and her, and da-da-da-da-da-da. Just, I think I don't know, is outing the right word? You know? I'm not sure. But this guy, who may or may not have been throwing his dick all over Chicago, headline, Chicago man seeks $75 million in damages after his local dating life gets called out on Facebook. The group was put in place with the intention of protecting women in the age of online dating, but has been criticized by Nico D'Ambrosio, which, I'm not going to lie, sounds like a dickhead who's throwing his dick around town. But that's, you know, that is nothing but my stupid brain telling me that. He is reportedly suing more than 50 people and companies. In the complaint filed in Chicago, he accused multiple people of ruining his reputation with demeaning remarks and claims he's been subject to defamation, emotional distress, and more. I'm sure all those things could be true too. Comments under the post feature his picture and details had remarks that described him as very clingy, as some woman claimed he had ghosted them after sleeping with them. Screenshots posted on the Facebook group said his pictures had been shared on the group before, and he had a reputation for allegedly calling women names when they refused to sleep with him. He defended himself by saying that he and the women who initially posted about him on the Facebook group met at an event in Chicago. They chatted briefly before indulging in consensual sex. They met again over a handful of dates, but never engaged in an exclusive dating relationship. It's kind of fucked up in a way. You know what I mean? I'm not saying... It's such a weird fucked up... If you're being an asshole and you're running all over town with all these women, like, they probably should be aware of it, you know? Or using using safe sex, whatever the fucking term is. Are you being an asshole? Are you being aggressive? All those kinds of things are probably things women should know. Doing it public, it's like they comment like very clingy, you know? Very clingy. Also, that he had ghosted them. Well, let's talk about the very clingy thing. Let's not move on yet. Very clingy. Like, that's not necessarily a thing you should, like, that should be outed about you. You know what I mean? It's just, that seems like a personality trait that you either like or you don't. Some people like clingy people. Some people fucking don't. You know? I don't. But, clingy people need to find other clingy people. That's the fucking way it works, you know? Some women claimed he had ghosted them after sleeping with them. It's a weird thing. I've ghosted my share of women. I've been ghosted as well. It's not a nice thing to do, but I can only put it like this. When I've had so many just like dating scenarios and you go out and you're just like, fuck, I don't want to have this conversation again. And it's an asshole thing to do. I'll be the first to admit it, by the way. I know I feel like a fucking asshole. And I've actually apologized to women for ghosting them. I would say, hey, sorry, it was just my brain. But you just keep putting off that conversation. You're like, fuck, I don't want to have this conversation again. Sorry, it's not going to work out. You know, I tried. It just doesn't jive for me. It's usually the fucking conversation or something like that. But even like the women that you care about the most, a lot of times I've ghosted. And it's just like, why? Why do you do that? It's something I have made a commitment to when I date in the future. I'm currently not dating because I have too many fucking things going on. And I got to work on myself first. But, you know, because you just don't want to have that conversation. You're just like, fuck, you put it off. And all of a sudden it's been a month. And then all of a sudden it's been fucking 2 months. And you're like, fuck, now it's too late. Now it's too late. But that's when I've had like the later conversations where like, I don't know, 5-6 months down the road. And I feel like a fucking asshole even contacting them. And I've actually said something along the lines of, hey, I really apologize for, you know, ghosting you. And I felt like an asshole. I just didn't want to have the conversation. And anyway, I have it. But then ultimately they think you're trying to get back together with them when you fucking message them. And I'll put that in the message like, hey, I'm not trying to get anything started or anything like that, but just to let you know, I am sorry for that. Again, it's not something I'm proud of, but it's something I did, you know, and it's been done to me, and I'm sure the same fucking reason. So it's just like, that doesn't necessarily have to be something that's fucking outed, all right? There's probably a very fine line and a very gray line of what is appropriate and what isn't in fucking relationships, you know, for certain people. I don't know. It seems halfway fucked up and halfway kind of needed. I don't know. I don't think it necessarily has to be done publicly, although, is it a public group? I don't know if it matters. It just says Facebook group. I don't know if it's public or not. I don't think it matters. And the answer is I don't know the fucking answer. I'm just talking about it. Here's another fucking news story. Man, I saw this and I was like, I thought this is the kind of instance where people see something on the internet that's totally absurd and fake and they think it's real because they're stupid. Is that the right answer? That they're stupid? In New Zealand, if I'm not mistaken. I think so. News Hub in New Zealand. A man who burnt down his house by attempting to cook a steak in a toaster is unsatisfied with the insurance payout he received. Okay, well, let's just talk about... There's no actual news story for this. It's just a headline with... Oh, no, there we go. Click more. He decided he wants steak and chips for dinner and made the unusual decision to put his steak in the toaster. He left it to cook while he went down the road to buy some chips. You don't fucking say. Because here's the thing. You see these things online, you're like, oh, that looks like a good idea. Because I've seen this fucking meme of, hey, here's a great way to cook a steak in 5 minutes is fucking put a steak in a toaster and thunk. Creates grease, creates fire in the toaster with the hot things. I mean, it seems pretty self-explanatory. You know? It seems pretty self-explanatory, but I mean, maybe, I don't know if stupid is the word. Ignorant's certainly the word, because you just left the fucking house. You know, oh, that looks like a good idea. If that works to cook my steak, I'll just run down the fucking road. You shouldn't have got any insurance payout. You should have got nailed for fucking arson, right? You left the house. How do you not get nailed for insurance fraud on that? It's fucking hilarious. It really questions my faith. But every day I see something that makes me go, okay, humans aren't as fucked up. Like we strive to be a little bit better every once in a while. Then there's some people that are like, I am a Neanderthal. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay. Let's get all Irish on you. Let's get all Irish on. Actually, let's do this. Let's do this first. I'm actually having second thoughts about this bit because it has to do with the Irish language. And I don't know how to pronounce them. And I sound like a dickhead. Great research, or great, well, at least, you thought about it before you actually did it and just sounded like an asshole. For some reason, I always look up and I'm like, oh, I can pronounce that. And then I just realize I'm looking completely ridiculous. But I am learning how to pronounce names a little bit, Anyway, the headline was Irish language phrases to use when your temper's up. And I'm like, man, I want to learn these things because I have a tendency to get pissed off, and I'll need to find some Irish fucking words to express my rage every once in a while. But we're not going to do that today because that happened. They were Irish words. Son of a bee. Speaking of winter roads and commutes, man, I'm angling hard at work right now to get Sunday off without having to call in or anything, or use vacation days because it's the time of year, it's the time of year where we're not busy. You get called off or get sent home early because you're just not busy at the restaurant. And, Lions are playing on Sunday at 8 p.m. The restaurant closes at 9. I have a 30-minute commute. Depending on what time you get out of there, you might get out of there maybe a quarter after 9 at the earliest, maybe up to 11 o'clock or midnight, depending on how many people are in and how long you got to stay. It's just the way it is. But the longer I can't watch that fucking Lions game, the more pissed off I'm going to be. So it's real anger, And I don't want to be mad. I want to watch the fucking Lions in the playoffs against Matthew Stafford and the fucking Rams. I just have this feeling it is going to be one of the most legendary fucking games in Ford Field. So I'm really angling hard to get just that day off and be like, hey, I'm not gonna get called off early or get sent home this whole week. Just save it for Sunday. I know we're not going to be that busy. We have enough servers on. And if you want to let me know by Saturday that you don't need me on Sunday, there we go. I'm angling hard for that to happen. But man, this fucking game, I can't tell you how excited I am for it. It is one of those to me, it is Matthew Stafford coming back to Detroit. And the team that exists because Matthew Stafford was traded. It is this ultimate full circle moment. And the fucking Detroit Lions are going to do anything from here on out. They have to win this game. I don't know about from here on out. They could win a Super Bowl or do better the next year or whatever. This team is built for fucking great success in the upcoming seasons. But especially if you want to get over that same old Lions, that hump on your fucking back, you got to beat Matthew Stafford and the Rams. You know, that was your old quarterback. He has to come back. You have to fucking conquer that. You know, who went and won a goddamn Super Bowl with the Rams year one. We all rooted for Matthew Stafford because we loved him. He was my fucking favorite Lion, almost, other than like Barry Sanders and Chris Spielman. And every time that Matthew Stafford clip pops up from NFL Films on Facebook, YouTube, any social media, you know the one I'm talking about if you're a Lions fan. If you're not a Lions fan or you're not even a football fan, you should fucking watch this video. But not this week. Wait until after this game, and then you can. Because every time it pops up, I watch it. It was one of the most legendary fucking Detroit Lions clips of all time, where Matthew Stafford got going for the game-winning fucking touchdown throw, gets fucking smashed, his shoulders separated. He gets out of the game. They call a timeout. Cleveland does. Stupidly lets him come back in the game. He's like, oh, I can throw even though my shoulder's fucking separated. He came in and won that fucking game. And that NFL Films clip is just a continuous, like, 8 minutes a shot of that entire how that thing played out. And it is one of the most gutsy, fucking legendary clips in Detroit Lions history. But I ignored the shit out of it when it popped up the other day because everybody's talking about Matthew Stafford. My algorithm's filled with Matthew Stafford. I'm not watching any interviews with him. I'm not watching that fucking clip because I'm not even a proponent of like booing or not wearing jerseys or any of this stupid shit that people are talking about. You know? But you got to fucking check your loyalties. You check your fucking loyalties, man. Are you a Detroit Lions fan or are you not a fucking Detroit Lions fan? I would not, as much as I love Matt Stafford, I'm setting that aside this week, you know, for this. You choose your fucking loyalties, man. You know, go buy another jersey. You save the Matthew Stafford one for later. There's going to be fucking assholes bringing that there. You know, wearing it there anyway. Because it's not actually banned. People say, oh, the Lions are banning Matthew Stafford jerseys. No, they're not. That's some fucking stupid blog post, podcast that's doing that. And people will say it's the Detroit Lions. It's stupid. Also, this is also a great time for the Detroit Lions because how many legendary coaches have gotten fired or let go? Nick Saban, I think he's retiring. I don't think he's going to go to the pros. I think he's retiring. Pete Carroll from the Seahawks, and of course Bill Belichick from the Patriots. This is the only fucking time in Detroit Lions history, probably, where Bill Belichick is available, or all of these great coaches looking for jobs, and the Lions, and at least we as fans, are not clamoring. Please, fucking God, bring in Bill Belichick. But now we have perhaps the greatest Detroit Lions coach of all time, Dan Campbell. Dan fucking Campbell. Oh, I am so fucking stoked for this game. I don't want to work. Please call me off. I swear I work so hard. I'm such a good employee. Hey, let's do a couple quick news bits before I get the flock out of here. Just a couple quick news bits. Hey, Vietnam with some huge progressive moves where they pledge human rights reform by the year 2099. You don't fucking say. According to Newsweek, Vietnam has reportedly given itself 76 years to implement human rights reform. Hanoi submitted a list of 8 commitments to be reached by December 31st, 2099. $20.99 to the UN Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights for the 75th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Well, yeah, like I guess they're making the choice, you know. Freedom House, I have to look up Freedom House. They have faced frequent criticism over its human rights record, with Freedom House handing it a score of 19 out of 100. I don't know, that sounds awful. Anyway, they're gonna do better in 75 years. Way to go. And then last little news nugget. Mark Zuckerberg raising super pretentious cattle. I guess you got the time, you got the money. We can say it's like, yeah, rich guys can just do whatever the fuck they want, and that's kind of true. You know, I always said if I have enough money, I want to have a goddamn Clydesdale ranch, because that'd be rad in Montana, you know? Just raising Clydesdales, you know, doing sleigh rides for the kids. But his new plan is to raise cattle with beer and nuts. In recent months, reports circulated about Zuckerberg's construction of a bunker in Kauai. Now he's ranching cattle, outlined his ambitious goal of creating some of the world's highest quality beef. No fucking shit. The cattle being raised are the prestigious Wagyu and Angus breeds. Wagyu from Japan for its intense marbling, which I'm not a fan of. Too much fat for me. It's nice, tastes good. And then Angus. So I don't know. Are they hybrids for these two cows, or are they just two separate kinds of beef at this ranch? I don't know. It's super fucking pretentious. You know. That's all I got to say about that. Stop it. Hey, I'm gonna wrap up the podcast. Remember, I talked about the schedule. I'm going to. You're gonna what? I'm gonna remind you right now. The schedule for Patreon live streams and all the things are as fucking follows, man. Every single week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, What the Hell Everything live recordings with the podcast and the reactions, 9 a.m. Eastern. A lot of times, like today and Wednesday, that fluctuates to like 9:10 or 9:15. I throw up alerts on Patreon letting you know when that's going to be. Sunday morning talk practice, Patreon exclusives. The What the Hell Everything live recordings, I'll actually do one of those every once in a while on Patreon, on YouTube as well. So look for that. And if you're into the album reactions, I just did an Empire State Bastard reaction. That's going up soon. Album reaction. Did a live set to King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. I did the Scratch album reaction. That's up on Patreon. And now that I'm in this place, man, these things are just going to happen more frequently. And especially for anybody that watched me, or listened to me on the radio, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to check out the podcast thing. It's basically the same thing, except it's reactions instead of just listening to old songs you've heard a million fucking times. And then it's me doing what I do, except I say what I want to say. And that does it for me. I'm out of here. Stop singing. Get fucked.
So long, sucker.
Good night, everybody!
I am so sorry for everything that has happened.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, all right, I'll see you guys there. By the bar and get your face, huh? Get me paid, bitch! Sit, boo-boo, sit. Good dog. I love y'all very much. Peace out! Good night, ladies. Good night, sir.
What the hell, everything?